A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
President says future generations must not be burdened with the challenging period that the nation experienced over the past 2 years. Umaya Reservoir under the Umaya Multipurpose Development Project vested with the people. Farmers allege that many paddy fields in Hambantota have not yet received water. Minister of Agriculture calls for a parliamentary select committee to probe reasons for not issuing water to Valava. Decision to sell paddy purchased at 120 rupees to private vendors at 80 rupees temporarily suspended. Plans to conduct GCE ordinary level examination in grade 10.
And now the stories in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe underscored the imperative to fortify the nation's economy, ensuring that forthcoming generations are spared from enduring the unfortunate period that both the country and its people have weathered in the past 2 years. These remarks were made during his participation in the 150th anniversary celebration of St. Thomas's College in Matale today.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe visited St. Thomas's College in Mahabali to unveil a commemorative plaque that marked the institution's 150th anniversary. After the ceremony, a tree was planted in the school premises.
The departure of skilled experts and professionals has created a substantial void that cannot be easily filled. It is essential to reaffirm our commitment to establishing a robust economic foundation conducive of the well-being of all citizens. Challenges confront our country today, primarily driven by insufficient government revenue and a trade imbalance skewed towards higher import costs relative to exports. A reliance on daily credit is not a sustainable solution. Once the debt consolidation process concludes, the same question emerges anew. We must proactively address this concern by bolstering our gross domestic product at a rapid pace, as an increased GDP directly translates to heightened national income. Parallelly, we must intensify our efforts in the realm of exports. A comprehensive strategy for this endeavor should be formulated within the next decade. In the current landscape, conventional political slogans have lost their relevance, even within both the ruling and opposition parties. Instead, it is imperative to assess the country's challenges and forge ahead with practical solutions. If the proposed solutions fail to gain traction, alternatives should be presented to address the issues at hand.
Afterwards, the President engaged in a cordial discussion with the students.
The Umaya Multipurpose Development Project is a project that was carried forward amidst several controversies. Today, another phase of the project was vested with the people. The Umaya Reservoir of the Umaya Multipurpose Project was declared open today with the releasing of its maiden release of the water.
Work on the Umaya project commenced in 2011, and under this project, 2 main reservoirs were built in Valimada and Dayaraba. A reservoir was constructed by crossing the Umaya at Puhulpola Valimada, and another reservoir was constructed by crossing the Matati Loya at Dayaraba Valimada. The 2 reservoirs are connected by a tunnel with a length of 3.9 kilometers and a diameter of 4.1 meters. Umaya is diverted from its natural course to Kirindioya Valley to provide water to the Monaragal and Hambantota districts in the southern province. Minister of Irrigation Roshan Ranasinghe, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva, and State Minister of Primary Industries Chamara Sampath Dasanayake were present at the opening ceremony of the Dayaraba Reservoir of the Umaya Multipurpose Development Project today.
Water was released for agriculture from the Dayaraba Reservoir.
and we have made the necessary arrangements to supply 120 megawatts to the national grid by September. In 2015, this project was initiated by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Former President Maithripala Sirisena also supported this strongly. We are happy as a nation today. Sri Lanka's agriculture and irrigation sectors gained a lot of experience through this project. The national grid will receive 120 megawatts. We can pay off these loans with the income we generate from that. That's how we first set up this project. We gained a new experience. When the tunnel was dug, the water sources in Bandaravilla and many other areas dried up. It is temporary and a new experience. When implementing a development project, we cannot do it exactly as we want. People may face difficulties during the technical activities. We are applying remedies for this.
Food is one of the most basic necessities of life, and in Sri Lanka, farmers are the backbone of food production. There are two main issues farmers are facing right now. One is that farmers who reaped their harvest are not getting a fair price for their produce. On the other hand, farmers who are still cultivating their fields don't have water for the fields. Let's now take a look at the latest issues that farmers in the south, including Hambantota, are suffering from due to the lack of water.
A tense situation arose when farmers blocked the water from the Kiribati River, preventing it from flowing down from the Mahabali River in Surya River. Water released from the Kiribati River this morning flowed through the Walava left bank and reached the Surya River Mahabali River. However, farmers in the area who blocked the flow of water by closing the gates of the Mahabali River pointed out that they will not reopen the gates until they get the water that they need for their paddy fields.
උඹලත් ගොවි අපිත් ගොවි එනිසා උඹලත් බත් කන්න ඕනේ අපිත් බත් කන්න ඕනේ අන්න එහෙම හිතලා උඹලට ටිකක් හරි යම් ප්‍රමාණයකට වතුර අද්දලා පල්ලෙහා මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවයි කියන හැඟීම තියෙනවා නම් දොරවල් අරලා වතුර පල්ලෙහාට දීපල්ල තවත් එන්නේ.
Despite the intervention of the officers from the Mayurupura Mahabali authority, the parties involved couldn't come to a settlement. The farmers dispersed after receiving instructions from officials to obtain water until 12 noon on Monday and reopen the gate and allow the water to flow downstream thereafter. Plans are in place to limit power generation at the Samanala power plant after the 15th of August, as the water capacity of the reservoir has decreased further. The Ceylon Electricity Board said measures will be taken to generate power only during peak hours for electricity demand. The CEB has reportedly planned to release the water used for power generation to the Udawalava reservoir.
Why is it important that the water required for cultivation be released through the Udawalava reservoir?
Out of the 25,000 hectares of fields nourished by the Udawalava reservoir, 15,000 hectares are paddy fields. This reservoir also nourishes 5 medium-sized tanks and 118 small tanks. Although 3,200 acre-feet of water is required for all these activities per day, only 1,400 acre-feet is released due to the lack of water. While water is supplied to Chandrika Vava, Muravasihena and Angunukola Palassa under the Balava right bank, water is supplied to Sevanagala, Kiribati Vava and Surya Vava Mayurapura under the left bank. In other seasons, water is usually released for an intermediate season between Yala season and Maha season, and farmers are able to provide a good harvest during that season as well. Due to lack of rain this season and delay in releasing of water from Samanala Vava, some lands are no longer in a state that can be salvaged.
This is the state of farmlands today.
This is the situation today of the fields of the Deniya unit of the Muravasihena division in the Walava right bank.
With the rate that these fields are drying up, we won't be able to salvage anything. Provide us with the reasonable compensation so that we can educate our children and carry on with our lives.
These farmers were pumping the irrigation water from Liangastota Anicut as a last-ditch effort to save their fields. The main river that supplies water to the Mayurapura region has not received water yet. Farmers point out that many paddy fields in the area can no longer be saved.
Look at this. This is what we have to show after 3 months of hard work. We spent 56,000 rupees to sow these fields. The fertilizer alone cost us 31,500 rupees.
We don't have a way to pay back our debts. This is why we are helpless. Why has this issue received so much attention?
7,000 kilograms of paddy is cultivated from 1 hectare in Walava, and 105 million kilograms of paddy is provided for national rice production in the Yalla season alone. This is a very high contribution to national paddy production. During the past few seasons, Sri Lanka experienced a reduction in paddy harvest, shortage of rice, and a spike in the price of rice in the market, all because of the reckless actions of the government.
The current state of the Udawalava Reservoir.
The Sri Lanka Mahabali Authority says that the water capacity of the Mahabali Reservoir is only enough for 3 more days. They also stated that there is only 5,000 acre-feet of water available. The amount of water released from the Samanala Vava to the Udawalava Reservoir yesterday was 2,300 acre-feet. The Mahabali Authority stated the water was released from the Mayurapura and Surya Vava areas through the left canal last afternoon, and water will be released to the Angunakola Palasa through the right canal until Monday.
Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira said that a parliamentary select committee must be appointed to punish those responsible for the current water crisis.
A select committee should be appointed to at least find out who is responsible for this situation. We don't need to protect anyone here. If anyone has done something wrong, I believe that they deserve to be punished. I can clearly see that this situation was not understood properly. The top priority is drinking water. Then comes water for cultivation. I am working to submit this to the cabinet and provide compensation to farmers. The president has also agreed to provide compensation. Wrong decisions are the main reason for the woes of the farmers without water. Farmers in the north, central and eastern provinces are suffering as they are unable to sell their produce at a reasonable price. A group of farmers from the Yaya 2 village in the Rajangania agrarian settlement staged a protest demanding that a kilogram of their paddy be sold at 130 rupees.
It costs close to 105 rupees to produce a kilogram of paddy. The ministers are silent while a paddy kilogram is allowed to be priced at 60 to 70 rupees. The government must stop these games.
Why are you not doing anything to solve the problems we face? You are there because of us. You are fed as a result of our hard work. You fill your pockets while we are left helpless.
Give an opportunity to the farmers who feed the nation to appoint a government that looks into our issues.
It is the private sector that purchases most of the paddy from farmers. Only the Paddy Marketing Board has the ability to create an environment where traders purchase paddy from farmers at a fair price, and that can be done by controlling the price in the market. Farmers claim that the Paddy Marketing Board is not fulfilling this responsibility. What is the situation in Ampara? Harvest in many paddy fields nourished by the Senanayaka Samudra have been reaped. 93% of the paddy cultivated in these areas is Nadu, and the delay of the Paddy Marketing Board to purchase this paddy is one of the reasons for the issue to escalate. Farmers point out that the market price of paddy has reduced further as the Paddy Marketing Board has issued paddy to mill owners for a cheap price of just 80 rupees.
A kilogram of paddy is sold at 95 rupees. They measure it in the storage. Paddy that was sold for 120 rupees last season is being sold at 80 rupees by the Paddy Marketing Board together with mill owners this season. This must be stopped and these crooks must be removed.
Convening a media briefing, the Ampara Farmers Movement expressed the following views regarding the current situation.
There is no way to sell paddy that were cultivated with multiple elephant attacks. The paddy which was purchased for 120 rupees is being sold for 80 rupees to private businesses. Without doing that, the government should at least purchase paddy for 100 rupees.
The
Agriculture Ministry has loaned money to the marketing board for the interest rate of 8%. The board then claims that they cannot purchase this paddy and that only Kiri Samba, Samba and Bola paddy, Nadu, red and white rice have been cultivated the most. There is no one to purchase these. While stored paddy is being sold at 80 rupees, the price of paddy in the market has reduced to 70 rupees. They have created a path for these private businesses to generate money. If the government is trying to ward off the farmers from the fields and give them to private businesses, the same thing that happened to the former leader will happen to you as well. We are ready to do that, to protect the people and the farmers.
News First inquired from the chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, Bulletin, regarding allegations made by farmers. He said that following the allegations raised by farmers, and as per the instructions of the minister, the decision made by the Paddy Marketing Board to sell paddy at 80 rupees has been temporarily halted. He added that this would lead to these paddy stocks becoming unsuitable for consumption within the next 2 months. The chairman said that the decision to sell paddy at 80 rupees was made in order to repay the loans obtained from the state banks at an interest rate of 28%. He also said paddy cannot be purchased in Ampara using the money loaned from the Farmers Trust Fund at an interest rate of 8%, as only Long Nadu is being sold in those areas. Chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, Bulletin, added that as there is no proper price for that variety of paddy, if that paddy is purchased, it would be difficult to settle the loan taken from the Farmers Trust Fund by the 31st of December. Swathes of paddy fields belonging to farmers in the southern province, including Hambantota, are facing an imminent threat of destruction. On the other hand, farmers in the northern province, including Ampara, are facing a crisis where they are unable to sell their harvest. This situation is in no way the fault of farmers. These farmers are in dire straits because the political authorities and government officials fail to take timely decisions and fulfill their responsibilities. Similar inept decisions of political authorities and government officials on the organic fertilizer policy plunged both the farmers and the citizens of Sri Lanka into a crisis that they are still suffering from. All of this was caused simply due to the failure to take right decisions at the right time. In the end, the people of the country not only had to endure a food crisis, but also suffer losses in the billions. The purchase of 96,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer did nothing but add on to the massive losses that were already suffered. Although the civil society and media revealed details of the corruption behind this import, the politicians claimed that there was none. But as always, slowly but surely, the truth has been revealed. The revelation on the corruption in the import of this stock of organic fertilizer from China was made through a special audit report prepared by the National Audit Office. It was revealed that the organic fertilizer brought from China contained harmful bacteria such as Avinia and Bacillus. The shipment of fertilizer was refused entry into the country. However, the audit report revealed that letters of credit were issued for this stock of fertilizer based on the recommendations of a special committee appointed by the then Secretary of the State Ministry of Agriculture. As the shipment was refused entry into the country, the Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited and the Colombo Commercial Fertilizers Limited took steps to reject the related payments. But then, Sri Lanka was required to pay 1,382 million rupees, which was equivalent to $6.9 million at the time, as an advance for 75% of the cost of the fertilizer on the ship. The cabinet also approved making this payment. The payment was made on agreed conditions. According to these conditions, the Chinese company was bound to resupply fertilizer that met standards set by Sri Lanka. But still, there has been no shipment of fertilizer sent from that Chinese company to Sri Lanka to date. According to these conditions, the validity of the letters of credit and performance bond should have been extended. The intention was to keep the deal alive and get a return on the money that had already been paid to the Chinese company. But what has happened now? The letters of credit expired on the 12th of March 2022 and the performance bond expired on the 24th of March 2022. In the end, we have neither the money nor the fertilizer. The country has lost 1,382 million rupees because of this agreement. The Auditor General's recommendations include filing legal action against the suppliers and blacklisting the same company. The audit report also stated that it was observed that officials from the Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited and the Colombo Commercial Fertilizers Limited, the State Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Agriculture have neglected their responsibilities by not maintaining the letters of credit and performance bonds as agreed in the Colombo High Court on the 3rd of January 2022. It has been a year since this report was published. What are the steps that have been taken by the responsible authorities against this massive waste of money? The farmers of Sabragamua, Uva and the south, including Hambantota, are suffering because of another inept decision. Meanwhile, farmers harvesting paddy in the east have also been left helpless because the harvests in the government paddy storage facilities are being sold for a low price in the market. Politicians and high-ranking government officials who have caused these massive losses to the country by making inept decisions and now are passing around the blame continue to be protected. In the end, it is the innocent farmers and citizens of this country who are left to suffer.
Farmer Minister Mervyn Silva says that the lack of water for paddy fields as well as the electricity crisis are results of poor management.
Now there is no water in the country. The paddy fields are beyond saving. They are also going to resume power cuts. The Minister of Power and Energy doesn't listen to what the Minister of Agriculture has to say. The Minister of Irrigation doesn't listen to what the Minister of Power and Energy has to say. What is the reason for this? They don't know their limits. There is no understanding of the strength needed to work at the ministry. The Minister of Power and Energy, Mahinda Wijesekara's son, is an arrogant person. The Minister of Agriculture is my brother-in-law. He has paddy fields. I don't know if he has any idea about farming or paddy. The Minister of Irrigation, he too is my friend. He doesn't listen to what I tell him. Who is at fault here? There is no proper management of affairs between the state and the people. Parliamentarian Mayantha Dissanayake said refraining from releasing water to paddy fields is a measure taken to abolish the Mahabali development project. They are destroying the Mahabali. Initially, a decision was reached regarding the Mahabali land. They attempted to hand over authority to divisional secretaries. The current state of the Mahabali is regretful. Over 65,000 acres of paddy fields have been destroyed due to the incorrect policies of the current government. The political authority, ministers and secretaries should be held responsible. The minister told media that there is an issue regarding compensation. The farmers must be compensated. In 1983 and 84, when the harvest in Dehiyattakandia and Girandurukote was almost destroyed, Minister Gamini Dissanayake headed efforts to provide meals to the people for a year. The manner in which the government is acting at present is regretful.
Up next is our investigative news segment, Action TV.
Yesterday, we revealed details of a draft bill to restructure the energy sector, giving the subject minister the authority in taking the final decision with regard to the electricity tariffs. According to the provisions of this Electricity Reform Act, many rights afforded to electricity consumers are completely removed, while the regulatory body, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, has been reduced to a rubber stamp. Action yesterday also revealed details of an appointment made by the Cabinet of Ministers before this draft bill is passed in Parliament. The appointment was made to the position of Secretary of the Electricity Sector Reform Secretariat. The monthly salary approved for Dr. Pradeep Pereira, who is the person appointed to that position, is over 2.3 million rupees. The subject minister informed the cabinet that the said salary is to be paid by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, and that it would not have any financial burden on the government. However, JICA is paying the said salary through loans granted to Sri Lanka and not as a charitable donation. Action quoted Dr. Pradeep Pereira's curriculum submitted to the cabinet to show that he was involved in the Regaining Sri Lanka initiative during the period from 2001 to 2004 under the then United National Front government. It is not only Dr. Pradeep Pereira who shares a connection to the Regaining Sri Lanka initiative. The proposals included in the electricity reform section in the Regaining Sri Lanka initiative are also included in the new Electricity Reform Act. Regaining Sri Lanka initiative had proposed for the CEB to be divided into 4 entities. Based on the same strategy, the new Electricity Reform Act proposes for the CEB to be divided into 10 entities. The stark similarities between the provisions of the new Electricity Reform Act and the Regaining Sri Lanka initiative makes it clear that the so-called new reforms are the same reforms that were democratically rejected by the people of Sri Lanka 19 years ago. Many politicians who worked hard to defeat the policies proposed under the Regaining Sri Lanka initiative 19 years ago are now cabinet ministers representing the government in parliament. Can these politicians now approve and openly support these same provisions and policies that they so vehemently objected to in the past?
A meeting of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held in Ududumbura on Sunday.
You elected a president with 6.9 million votes. The incumbent president was appointed within parliament in line with the constitution. He was appointed by the SLPP MPs that you voted for. As a party, we decided on ways to face this challenge. The Aragale was going on in the country at the time. Ranil Wickremesinghe is used to facing such struggles. In 1988 and 1989, allegations were raised regarding the Batalanda incident, and we can't rid ourselves of the allegations. He is used to facing that. He has the ability to hold discussions with international organizations and stabilize the economy. That is why we took that decision. Similarly, the SLPP will not hesitate to oppose any political decision that is unfavorable to the country.
News first with the people.
Divisavya, the second leg of the Divisavya program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 14th of August, Wattigama and Teldenia.
Dai Daruwange Anagate Venuwen Divisavya, LOLC Prajasatkar Kamehevara.
On to another one of our headline-making stories. Minister of Education Susil Premjant says that discussions are taking place with regards to plans to conduct the GCE ordinary level examinations in grade 10. The minister said that during a function held at Royal College, Colombo, that this decision cannot be taken suddenly. He also stated that this is expected to be done under 3 levels starting from grade 1, 6 and 10, which is primary, junior secondary and senior secondary. An incident where a tourist who fell off a cliff in Allah was rescued was reported today.
A tourist who was on a trip in Allah had fallen down a steep cliff while walking on Little Adams Peak this morning. The residents of the area worked together to get him to safety. The tourist who was injured in the incident is a British national. He was given medical attention after he was rescued.
පුංචි සිරිපාතට ගිහිල්ලා අපේ එකඟ වෙලා සුදු මාත්‍යාව කන්දෙන් උඩට බොහොම අමාරුවෙන් උස්සගෙන හාව අඩි 100ක් විතර පල්ලෙන් ඉඳලා උඩට උස්සගෙන ඇවිල්ලා සෑන්ඩ් ඔක්කොම කට්ටිය ඇවිල්ලා සපෝට් එකක් දුන්නා.
The tourist sustained minor injuries to his leg and was taken to hospital.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye. See you, my friend.
Sri Lanka is set to ease import restrictions on public transport and goods transport vehicles, including buses, lorries and trucks. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya says that the gazette on these changes will be published soon.
The government has paid special attention to the vehicles used for public transport. The government has considered lifting the import restrictions of buses, trucks and lorries. It is done for the common good of the country. However, the State Minister of Finance added that the relaxation of import restrictions on other types of vehicles will be delayed. He also said that the process of easing import restrictions will be carried out gradually.
India has informed Sri Lanka that it is concerned about Chinese research vessel Shiyan 6 docking at the country's ports in end October.
India's Hindustan Times reported that a month after President Ranil Wickremesinghe assured Prime Minister Narendra Modi that his country will be sensitive to security and strategic concerns of India, a Chinese marine research vessel, Shiyan 6, is expected to dock at the Colombo and Hambantota deep-sea ports late October and stay till November 2023. The vessel will carry out surveys for nearly a month, with one part of surveys being without Sri Lankan scientists. As of now, the Sri Lankan government is still to give clearance to the maritime research vessel. According to the report, India has informed Sri Lanka that it is concerned about the Chinese research vessel Shiyan 6 docking at the country's ports in end October. The report added that Sri Lanka hosting Chinese research vessels shows that it is rather pathetic or indifferent to New Delhi's concerns. It noted, quote, "The larger question is how long will the Modi government allow countries in the Indian subcontinent remain impervious to India's strategic interests? The question is particularly pertinent to those countries with whom India has stood up for in thick and thin, from humanitarian disaster, vaccine supply to economic support," unquote. Meanwhile, a day after the Chinese naval vessel PLA warship Haiyang 24 Hao docked at the Colombo port in Sri Lanka, India on Friday said it is carefully monitoring any development that has a bearing on the country's security interests.
I've seen reports of a Chinese ship there. I'm not sure whether it is a warship or not. I will only say that having seen these reports, I would emphasize the government carefully monitors any development having a bearing on India's security interests and takes all necessary measures to defend them.
The warship, which arrived at the Colombo port on a formal visit on Thursday, departed the country on successful completion of the visit today.
The 79th annual prize giving of Wendy Watmore Academy of Speech and Drama was held with much pomp and pageantry in Colombo yesterday.
The prize giving comprised of 3 sessions, and the prize winners were from several age groups, as the Academy offers lessons to those ranging from kindergarteners to adults. Several of the prize winners performed at the event.
I sincerely believe that women are wiser than men.
No! Complete and utter silence. I have a magic mirror. I'm laughing because you're about to give up on a woman who's infinitely lovable.
Top achievers at the Wendy Watmore Academy of Speech and Drama were felicitated at the 79th annual prize giving held in Colombo yesterday. The Wendy Watmore Academy of Speech and Drama was founded by Wendy Watmore in 1940 with the sole purpose of educating children in the English language, gradually incorporating her love for drama into the syllabus.
Moving on to news overseas, Hawaii's governor says he expects to see significantly higher numbers of fatalities in the coming days as the death toll rises to 93 in the wildfires that razed the historic town of Lahaina.
Additional expert support has been deployed to the island of Maui, where forensic work is continuing to find victims of the devastating wildfires. Hundreds of people are still unaccounted for days after the fire first broke out. Many more remain in emergency shelters after fleeing from the flames. While the wildfires are now largely under control, efforts to fully extinguish them are continuing in parts of the island.
Pakistan Senator Anwar al-Haq Kakar has been nominated to lead the country until its next general election.
Pakistani Senator Anwarul Haq Kakar has been named as caretaker Prime Minister to oversee national elections following a meeting between outgoing Premier Shehbaz Sharif and opposition leader Raja Riaz Ahmed. Kakar is listed as an independent politician by the Senate but is reported by foreign media to be a part of the Balochistan Awami Party, which is widely considered to be close to the country's powerful military. Pakistan's parliament was dissolved on Wednesday and by law an election should be held within 90 days, but the results of the latest census released last week means more time will likely be needed to redraw constituencies. The Election Commission has to draw new boundaries for hundreds of federal and provincial constituencies, and based on that, it will give an election date. The vote will likely go ahead without former Prime Minister Imran Khan, who was convicted of corruption last weekend and sentenced to 3 years in jail, but he has denied any wrongdoing.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.